All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the 10th session of the Circular Economy webinar series. My name is Ice, and I'm here to welcome you and introduce our moderator for today. Our session is being moderated by Mr. Terry Cho, Senior Urban Development Specialist for Waste Management under the Urban Sector Group Department of Sustainable Development and Climate Change of ADB. Prior to ADB, he worked as a Senior Investment Operations Specialist at the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and as a Senior Water and Sanitation Specialist at the World Bank. So everybody, I would like you to please join me in welcoming Mr. Terry Cho. Terry?
Thank you. Thank you, Ice. Thank you, everybody. I'm pleased to have a chance to introduce moderate these sections as the last section of our circular economy webinar series in this year. We're looking forward to meet you again in 2023. So today we have honor to invite Mr. Harold Yip, the founder of the SSID, for the topic of the low waste value a circular business model for low value waste mixed paper. So before we go to the brief notes of the Mr. Harold, I will just take a few minutes to briefly introduce this circular economy knowledge sharing and capacity building program. It's a planned series of events to raise awareness and develop capacity for implementing solutions that's enabling a circular economy within the ADB community. And then the objective of the program are to share the knowledge among the ADB personnel and the invited partners from the developing countries on approaches and solutions to enable the transition to a circular economy in the regions, and also helping to build the capacity on the foundation and relevant solutions for implementing a circular economy in our client countries, and also to facilitate the dialogue and action towards scaling up the investment in circular economy solutions. So, and then we will have planned activity, including the webinar series now showcasing the technology solutions, new approaches, and other new issues and case studies. And we also looking forward to plan the country-focused trainings on the circular plastic economy in futures. Thank you. And then I'll give a very brief introduction of our speakers, invited speakers. Harold is the founder of the Secure Information Disposal Service Limited Company in Hong Kong, which is an award-winning waste and environmental management company established in 2009. And his company has launched the Mill in 2019. Which is the first pub mill and education center in Hong Kong to recycle the beverage cartons. And the mill has developed the capacity to process 50 tons of the beverage cartons and mix the paper daily and transform these useful material, which if not collected, is become a waste. Into the already saturated landfills, but divert into the recycled paper products. And before his own startup in the recycling industry, Harold has been working in many several multinational companies, including AA Hong Kong, Loveco, Jardine Brooks, and he had got a BBA degree and EMBA degree from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Harold, I will give it to you, and then after your presentation, we'll start the Q&A section. Thank you, Harold.
Oh, thank you, Terry. Thank you, ADB, inviting me to share Mill story. Okay, yeah, let me share my screen first. Yes. Today we want to talk about Miu Miu, which we position as a city forestry, how to recover those fibers from the waste in the city. About SSID, we is founded in 2009. And is Asia first IoT waste. We developed Asia first IoT trace and check system. We're pioneer in waste audit and focus on waste reduction. And then I said in 2019 we set Hong Kong first and only pulp mill Miu Miu. Now diverting more than 5,000 metric tons of waste from landfill, reducing carbon emissions. And also we launched our Miu Miu recycled tissue. And in fact, from the very beginning, SSID with a vision is to be a leading waste management company that applies knowledge and technology to develop a more sustainable solution, particularly circular economy of fibers for our kinds and the earth. So that's about us. And then this is what we talk about a paper cycle. Basically, we serve both the general consumer and the corporates and the institution. Well, they will buy the paper-based products, and then well, we will provide the service for them for collecting their waste papers, helping their recycling, and also we provide waste audit for them to discuss on how to increase the recycling, reduce waste. Yeah, and then for from SSID, those waste paper we collected, we will either turn it into pulp or simply sorted those waste paper and then supply as raw material to the paper mills, and then we will buy back the end products from the paper mills, and then we supply the paper-based product to the to our customers. So try to be in the center of such a loop to coordinate the paper cycle. Yeah, mentioned about our positioning before. Well, first a city forestry that we recover fiber from waste, and second, we always say that we are a green partner. Try to engage the community to achieve zero waste. And then also a green lifestyle platform, how to promote low carbon and zero waste living. So as said, from the very beginning, when we started SSID, we developed a IoT system for waste trace check with our mobile app for professional and cloud-based platform. We capture real-time data and build the first cloud-based database for waste and recyclable in Hong Kong. It's talking about 2009, yeah, at that time, not many waste company that apply the RFID technology. And then, yeah, this is the system at the very beginning. Use a chips, a handheld reader, but now we use a mobile phone and then all cloud-based system. And then we emphasize on to apply knowledge in this industry. In fact, for most people, when think about the waste recycling, the recycling industry in Hong Kong, just we think about the scavengers on the street, old and not well educated. That's why we want to change the image. And then, well, we from day one we talk about the carbon management, help our customers to understand more about our carbon. And then we also work as waste consultancy to help them to reduce waste and increase the recycling rate. So that's about waste audit. Well, just simplify and we sort out all those waste and then weight it and then get the data and try to understand how those wastes come from, and then advise on our customer how to improve the recycling or engage the stakeholders in waste reduction. So from an example is from 2013, we are working with the Chinese university. From 2013 August till 2017 September, around 4 years time, we help them to reduce 20% of waste disposed to landfills. And then, well, in the past year, we collaborate with different community on education and promoting waste reduction. We work with different NGOs. We even work with the art museum on an exhibition about waste and community. Well, and try to engage the public and the schools to know more about the recycling industry, and then yeah, and yeah. So when talk about Mill, yes, yes, the first recycling beverage carton recycling mill in Hong Kong. Well, it took us more than 10 years for Mill yeah, from dream to reality. In fact, when we set up SSID in 2009, in 2010 we believe that a pulp mill can help Hong Kong to reduce the waste, particularly when we talk about the waste in Hong Kong. The number one waste in the landfill is food waste, but the second largest waste is paper. And then we always carry paper. Well, suppose easier to be recycled. You just ensure not to dump in the rubbish bin, but in the recycling bin. And how come still a lot of papers in the landfills? And then, well, first we find that there's some kind of papers, let's say like the beverage cartons, coffee cup, a milk carton, that couldn't be simply recycled through the normal paper recycling stream. You need some local handling facility. And second, we found that for Hong Kong people, well, they once they put all those waste paper in the recycling bin, they know nothing later afterwards, or simply they just know that belt it and they export it to other countries. But soft, I always say that the process very alienated. They don't know what happened. Just do this, and then it's no sense of involvement or commitment, sort of like this. And then yeah, so from 2110 and up to 2019, we start to build the factory. And the production line, install the production line. Took us 9 months before for installation and then the opening up till now. Yeah, you can see those machinery. Well, basically we can handle around 60 tons of beverage cartons daily, and then the whole process, the water will be reused with zero emission discharge. And then Mill, we aim to reduce waste through a different aspect. First is recycling beverage cartons and mixed papers. Yeah, I mentioned before, beverage cartons, they couldn't be recycled through the normal paper recycling stream. And then for mixed paper, also now becoming a problem for many countries, because when PRC, they banned all waste paper import, and PRC used to be the largest waste paper importer, and then and the trade being twisted now, all focus on high quality waste paper, like the carton box, office paper, and newsprint. But then in our daily life, a lot of our packaging paper are probably mixed paper, low quality one. And well, let's say like for Hong Kong, in the past Mid-Autumn Festival, the paper packaging for those mooncakes, the scavenger couldn't get any money by selling to the recycler, as the recycler rejected to take that. And then, well, but for Mill we can handle it. And mixed paper now being a problem for other countries, let's say like Singapore. Just in 1 year, they dropped the recycling volume by more than 140,000 metric ton once a year. And Western Australia, they last year offered a grant to Swiss to build a pulp mill just to handle mixed paper. Okay, and mill helped to reduce waste also through corporate collaboration and community education. We will talk about this, and then clean recycling. We emphasize very strong on clean recycling because they will ease the whole the job, and then I will explain later. Basically, we start from almost zeros and then build up more than 600 recycling points, covering all districts in Hong Kong, including school, those community recycling center, residential office, and even restaurants. And of course, still not enough, but because this is a private initiative, not for the government, and then still we need to improve increase more collection points. And then since 2020, we have collected and upcycled more than 3,000 metric tons used food and beverage cartons, mixed paper. And particularly, we got an education center in our pulp mill. Now more than should be more than 600 institutes and more than I think it's more than 15,000 people visited our mill. To understand the operation process. From day one, we want to make our process very transparent to the public, because for beverage cartons recycling, very new to the public, and in the past they always know about all those beverage cartons, Tetra Pak, milk carton, coffee cups couldn't be recycled, and then and also because the public confidence to recycling very low in the past. We want to ensure our whole process very transparent. That's why we built an education center, not just for education, but also for them to understand the whole operation process. And we emphasize very much on clean recycling. You can you can see from the photo that most beverage cartons we collected are very clean. Cleaned by the public, not by us. In fact, 95% of our collection come from post-consumers, and the consumers they clean that and send to the collection points. In fact, the beverage manufacturer always talk to me that for Hong Kong people, our pace of living so quick, and then no one will clean the beverage cartons and then send for recycling, and ask me to rectify the situation, or let's say to build more the water treatment system, add chemicals so that we can handle those dirty beverage cartons. But I always say that the challenge not on our side, but rather in the collection point. Imagine in the housing estate, there is a recycling bin for beverage cartons, and then you allow those milk carton, coffee cup, non-cleaned, dirty one put inside. What happened? Just half day for Hong Kong on temperature. Just half day, then the smell come out and will attract all those insects. And then I will say that the program will fail, because the public will just treat the bin as rubbish bin, but not recycling bin. I would rather take a slower approach and then educate the public on clean recycling. So that's what we have done. And then we also work with the public, collaborate with them on education program, and also some sort of CSR program. Yeah, as mentioned, well, because we have our education center, so we also work together with public, some big corporate to promote circular economy and educate on about climate change, and also let's say some corporate will they will also engage us for some special program and for their activities, and also like I mentioned before is the mooncake box recycling. Those mooncake box will not be accepted by the traditional recycler, but Mill can handle and pop it. Yeah, that's how we also work. Work with the engage the commercial segment. For consumer goods manufacturer, they are more concerned about packaging design for recycling. As I mentioned, when we work with the one mooncake box mooncake manufacturer, and they listen to us to we design their packaging and to improve the recyclability. In fact, because we are Mill is the only recycling plant that can handle those mixed paper, those packaging. Well, so in the Mid-Autumn Festival, we even collaborate with an NGO on the to examine those packaging design of the mooncake boxes. Yeah, we the NGO help us to advocate to the manufacturer to have a design that recycling friendly, that can be recycled. Many mooncake box they just coated with PE and then even with LED light, and then well they send to us, and I would say that 90% is just lobbies. Yeah. And that's one way we work with the commercial segment. And then another thing that we always want to work with the commercial segment is on the exhibition event. You know, the commercials for exhibition and all those one-off event, let's say like some Christmas event in the shopping mall. Those decoration material, many of them just rubbish and then sent to the landfills. We are trying to work with the designers on how to achieve a zero waste event and exhibition. And in fact, we have some successful cases before in the exhibition. They make use of just paper carton for furniture design, and then to show basically no rubbish left after the exhibition. So with the pulp mill, in fact, we would like to go further. We have a fiber lab concept to research on use of fibers for high value added products and to develop innovative products from different plant and forestry products. Well, let's say like, we are now working on cat litter, locally produced value added product made of waste paper, but not just waste paper, but can be from broken wooden pellet and even the soil waste from the soil mill manufacturer. Those are the materials we think of. And even we found another interesting material is the blue waste from the beer maker. Also can be used for cat litter. But of course, the market is how to how to market the end products and whether the end products will be accepted by the consumers. Still, we are working on this. And then some other concept is, let's say like eco coffin, made of waste papers and broken wood pellets and furnitures. We are thinking about this. And then also we are trying on paper-based 3D printing materials also. the whole concept of fiber wrap is not just to develop high value added products for fiber, but to inspire the public, the students on paper usage, on how to reuse and those papers and fibers, and that's what our aim. And that's why we in the past year we got many awards from different monomatic green and IT award, and then we have many corporate partners together to promote those clean recycling and also attract the media interest on our cause, on our case. And then we also introduce our recycled tissue, which is made from 100% locally collected waste paper and FSC recycled certification. While in Hong Kong, the tissue market being dominated by the retail market being dominated by virgin pulp, and we are the one that highly promoted in the retail market to promote to the public about why recycled tissue better. One thing is about of course no need to cut trees, and then also reduce the carbon footprint. For all recycled products, the carbon footprint mostly lower. In case of recycled tissue, is almost 39% lower. And that the sales is going up with more and more acceptance by the public. So, well, basically that's about Miu Miu. And it's about my sharing. Welcome any question, and we can discuss.
Thank you, Harold. This is very exciting story. From dream to reality. It took you more than 10 years to build the mill, and 3 years on the road. We have actually a first batch of the questions. We already have 3 questions. So let me go these first three questions first, and then you have time to respond. So the first is from the Grace. Do you give any training or workshop to small entrepreneurs who are interested to venture or do a startup business on recycling? And let me also the other 2, and then you can give a initial response. So the second one is, given the Miu Miu's focus on education, are you seeing any evidence that of the behavior change is happening? And then the last question, actually it's the same question raised by Grace, so I don't want to repeat it. So the 2 questions only. So first is the training to the training workshop to the small entrepreneur. Second is the any evidence of the behavior change.
Okay. For first question, in fact, we do work together with some startup, but we don't provide training. For myself, I sometimes as mentor in some program, but basically, we don't have a particular training program for startup. But we welcome, because let's say like we work with an example. We work with a startup on AI. They make use of they install a camera in our conveyor belts, and then at the very beginning they simply want to understand differentiate those way, but not sure about the application. And then when we discuss with them, we inspire them on how the application can be used in our cases, and then let them understand. Well, because let's say like when we collect those beverage cartons, sometimes there will be mix of plastic bottle, aluminum can, and even sometimes glass bottle. Or with AI imaging, if they can be differentiated, and then maybe some days we will have a robotic arm, and then they can be picked it out. That's one thing. Well, yeah, and then second thing, and I also let them know, because the pumping process, the timing different for let's a coffee cup, Tetra Pak, milk carton, mixed paper, and then but if they are mixed together, well, with the AI system, it can help us to determine the best pumping time. It will increase the efficiency, and sometimes if we need to add some chemical, it can also help us to reduce the cost. Yeah, that's one thing we always, and also some other small startup on recycling. They try to build their network, or they try to handle particular waste like plastic. And then we always we will work with them, because SSID is also a one-stop waste recycler. Our logistics can support them. That's thing. But I like the idea. Well, maybe some days I can arrange a training course for the startup, and then for education, behavior change for we don't have systematic research on this, but basically we really find that when the school visited us before and after, that there will be a short period of, I will say a short period, I can't say it's long-term trend, a short period increase in the volume of beverage cartons being recycled, as the kids, the students, they understand the whole process. So that in many cases we found the same answers. Yeah, and in fact, just also one thing, we are now organizing the education for the elderly people, maybe retired people. Yeah, because somehow they they are retired, but they still want to contribute, and then that's why we are thinking about we can help them, and then we can train up them, and then they can act as our let's say the education tour instructor, or promoter the recycling concept, waste reduction concept.
Thank you, Harold. We have more questions to ask. There's one question from Erwin. Maybe actually it is quite interesting. He asked whether do you get any incentive for providing clean waste? Maybe I will add on these questions. So in the case of Hong Kong, what's the the role of the government? Did they give you any supporting policy, or vice versa? Maybe there's some they did not give you and give you rather than give you more troubles. I don't know. Yeah, this incentive seems like a good thing, but how about the other bad things? So maybe that's the first. And then the second part, he's asking whether what happened to the rubbish you collected. If there's something you don't collect the real waste, the recycled waste, but actually some kind of rubbish, and do you reject it? And maybe also I want to add one more point. It's how, because I see you have many engagement with the community on the collection of the garbage. What's the difficult part or in this kind of engagement? So for example, like this case, you get some rubbish in the recycle bin. What can you help to resolve this? So
okay, well, let me answer the second question first. Well, frankly speaking, we really rejected those rubbish, because rubbish in and then rubbish out, it will affect our end products, and that's why we rejected it. That's why we have to make our recycling process very transparent to the public. Yeah, let them know that why we really need clean recyclables, and also those collection points we carefully selected because well, we need them to understand we only collect those clean recyclable. Yeah, cleaned recyclables. That's why, let's say, like the schools, we provide the education, the talk, the visit to our meal for for some students, and then those students will act as our ambassadors to promote on clean recycling, and also even like the housing estate, if they want to set up the recycling bin for us, we have to ensure they understand our requirement. In fact, we always don't. We will not reject. I mean, we will always encourage them that no matter the estate management or the household community, they come to visit Mill and understand the whole process before they start the actual recycling process. Yeah. So that's one thing, and you are right that the engagement is very difficult on clean recycling at first. But luckily we got help from we start from school and then got help from many NGO and then that's why the message being spread out well received by the public and as mentioned, all our measures taken to ensure only clean recycle being collected. The collection point will act as a gatekeeper, and then somehow if something dirty sent to us, we will just reject it. Also, we in many cases we will highlight in our social media, let the public know why we rejected those recyclables, or what problem those recyclables why can't be treated. In fact, we try to let the public know more about the paper, the process. Even sometimes it's a bit technical, because we believe that the public understand more, then they will do more. That's our belief. Okay, back to the first question on incentive for clean recyclable. Well, fairly speaking, we don't incentive anyone for sending recyclables to us. On the other hand, we don't being incentivized. We don't receive any incentive from those collection points, or well, we don't charge them any handling fee for handling their waste. And then for Hong Kong, at the moment, there is no producer responsibility scheme for beverage cartons, and that's why we don't also get any support or service charge for from the PRS scheme. It's basically that's our where we have found our own way to make the whole process sustainable. And when well, back to a few years ago, I always criticize Hong Kong almost no policy in terms of around about waste. At that time, MSW charging still not yet implemented, or even not yet approved by the legislation. But now, well, already gone through legislation, supposed to be implemented in by the end of next year. And then also the PRS still primitive, but now the government also promised to implement the PRS system for beverage carton, beverage packaging, PET and beverage carton by the end of next year. Yeah, that's the improvement. But the biggest problem for Hong Kong, I always say that it's about the government planning on the land use. Yeah, you know, Hong Kong is a small with small area, highly populated, and then yeah, talking about the government lack of planning on the planning on the land use for recycling industry, and then that resulted in many recycling recycler operated not in the proper land use, but in brownfield, and then raise many problems. And maybe some of you heard about that. Mill is now we couldn't continue our rental for with our existing we cannot renew our rental contract, simply because they said that that the owner, they would like to have some other purpose, not for recycling, and then we have to find new premises for our factory, but it's not easy. And in the past, the government land use, well, the short-term rental always around 3 years, always a few years. And then we always say that in the past, if you are talking about just simply export, you collect all those recyclable, bale it, and then export, then it's easy. Yeah, 3 years may be enough, yeah, for short-term leasing. But when we're talking about now, because of the changes in PLC rejecting all plastic import, waste plastic import, waste paper import, and then most countries now have to handle your own waste. Yeah, then we are now in a transition from simply exporting in all those ways, but at least need some primary handling in the local countries. Then that's different now. We are now involved in some manufacturing process, and then we need a piece of land, a factory that we can work longer. Otherwise, we cannot justify the investment, cannot survive. That's the problem. Yeah.
Thank you, Harold. I think that's really tell us really the ugly truth, I would say, of how to do the recycling business in Hong Kong is not so easy. But I'm actually quite impressed by your way, actually kind of grassroots approach, because you don't get anything from government incentive. Even the policy on the rental is not very supportive, but you find your own way working with the NGO, not government, and also the community to build this very sophisticated collections network across Hong Kong. Back into your PowerPoint, actually, I saw one very strong thing is the Hong Kong, not everyone knowing that actually it itself is a small island, but it has many outlying islands also. Even in your case, you even can establish some collection point in like the Lama Island, if I'm correct, the outlying island.
Yes, yeah.
Because most of us have the impression Hong Kong have all these nice high-rise buildings, but in fact it's not, because we also have some not very nice, also high-rise building with our elevator, Tong Lao. Those buildings have no service, no property management, and also some small village house, not the expensive one, Chun Ngok. In that kind of community, how can you help them to establish the collection point? Because as you say, is you don't really incentivize them, but how can you help them to establish? Maybe it is initiated by the community or NGO. What kind of the approach you can show up? And then actually, I'm also very interested. Maybe later on we can have more interactions on your knowledge and how can we there's many different countries are needed. The Indian people, for example, Indian government are planning for 1,000 cities have this kind of recycling component in the waste management initiative to clean the India is Prime Minister Modi's project. So this kind of thing is not, I would say, we cannot only rely on the public investment. The government alone cannot doing that. As you say, garbage in, garbage out. If they only collect the garbage, no one can really help you to make like any entrepreneur, Indian entrepreneur, Indian version of Hero cannot survive because you don't have the right environment. But the case of Hong Kong tell us a very different different story because we as you say, Hong Kong is a very high stress city. So it's the most capitalism city in the world by some foundations measures. So it seems a very very I would say disruptive to our own idea. Even Hong Kong, the community can do better job, and even those profit-driven corporate, you can help them to do a better job. So that's kind of the experience is very unique. I do really, of course, we can't explain in one webinar, maybe later on. But maybe first, how can you? The first part of my question is more straightforward. In different setting of the community, some is living a nice high-rise building, some is not living is not very. It's actually quite dirty place or no management. How can you help them? And even for the village house, how can in the outlying island, how can you help them on the collection point? Sort of.
Okay. Yeah, well, frankly speaking, it's not our effort, but just the effort from the community. We are lucky that before we work with many NGOs and also some you can say a grassroots movement. Let's say like the what we call the not rubbish mall, 不是垃圾站啊. They is a community movement that many people gather together. They try to voluntary regularly in a place and then collect all those recyclable. But the volunteers would teach the community about the clean recycling and differentiate different types of plastic, number 1 to number 7, and even different types of papers, sort of like this. And then, well, from this community, they become a major, you can say, social movement in Hong Kong for recycling. And before we started Mill Mill, we already work with this community, and that's why we can engage them. And then when we talk about the setup of the beverage carton recycling in Top Mill, they all come to help, and they even visit us before the opening, and I also provide the training for them on paper recycling, explain some sort of technical knowledge about different kinds of paper, why so need to sort into different paper ways, and then give them some ideas on this. That's how we can build up the network, I would say.
Yeah, that's very helpful actually. I think that your company, recycling company, is not only as a processing the last stop for processing the recycled waste, but actually, as you say, it's education center to provide the technical support, even those no incentive, but it's important because those collection point mainly run by NGO or the local community become the ambassador to promote the circular economy in this sense. And go back to my other part of the stories. I think we have a challenge, as you know. Asia is the most rapidly growth regions in the world, and according to the latest World Bank report, Water Waste 2.0, Asia will be the biggest waste generation rich continent in the world. Actually, it is already, because with the rapid growth of the India economy and of not to mention PRC itself. So in this case, how to lead forward to really help those countries to set up the recycling system is a very imminent challenge for the international financial institute like ADB. And we have received so many demands from the countries and also cities. So of course, we are only a financier, but what kind of the I don't know, what kind of the message or policy we can help both decide in order to promote the entrepreneur like you yourself to really bring the market, even though it's much risky than the other market, but still have a place for you to grow. I don't know. It's kind of like in some country for this kind of we call the low value waste, they have kind like the container deposit levy CDL， 就是按就好似以前賣啤酒回樽嗰啲。Yeah. We like the PRS you mentioned about in Hong Kong. Is this a more sustainable scheme to ask everybody contribute, the producer and consumer also contribute to these ways, in addition to the grassroots and community-driven process? Is this a good policy from your perspective to promote, or there's other way we forgot? Because for example, like in some case, I'm taking out in the Pacific. Those people they have to export their waste because they don't have the processing capacity. Is this the custom cleaning or custom policy also can reduce the load to the recycling industry like you? I don't know whether my question is too broad. Maybe you already experienced some of this kind of challenge, because I know you are traveling to different countries, Singapore and Philippines, to look for different opportunity. So probably you already know if you want to move around between the country, there's a more different challenge than the normal operation in Hong Kong.
Well, frankly speaking, I don't know how to answer your question, particularly, well, let's say for those less developed countries like India, I got no idea and got no idea about the waste and recycling system. And in a way, I always say that our meal solution is more for those developed countries, even though well, let's say like Hong Kong, Singapore, they think about the place too small, no such scale, and then still we can find a niche that we can survive, but also I think that my experience is how to mobilize the public, engage all those stakeholders is very important for our whole process, for our business. And that's one thing. I think similarly, in those less developed countries, how to let the public or know why rubbish become a big problem, and then or engage the let's say the commercial sector, because they have the resources to work together on this. That's one thing I think about this. How we can find some, even start with a small segment that they got the resources, they got they have the willingness to work on this. Then start from small. That's one what I can suggest.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we still have few minutes left. Maybe instead of we raise the question to you, anything you want to ask the question to us, because it's a unique opportunity for ADB. You have already joined some event of the ADB, so probably you know the role of ADB is supporting the development of the those least developing countries, but also we will as a bridge to transfer the knowledge or technology from the more highly developed countries to the more least developing countries. So I don't know what kind of the question you also think about what ADB can do more to improve this kind of the knowledge transfer or technology transfer in addition to the financing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for myself, I got no knowledge. I mentioned before, no knowledge about the less developed countries, even though I studied some about a bit about mainland China, but mainly big cities, and then I got no idea about other than big cities, those small village, and then. But one thing I agree that how to modernize their recycling system is very important for waste reduction and solve the problem of, let's say, like the plastic in the ocean. That's if there is chance, I really would like to join and get more knowledge, and then even I don't mind to contribute my share my idea. Yeah.
Okay, Harold, I think that's fair enough. So if there's no other questions in the chat box, then maybe I will just give a very brief closing, and then we will close these sections, the last section of the webinar. But anyway, if you have any question, please post it. We will communicate with Harold, and I hope he will be happy to answer you. But please remember, his solution is focusing in the developed countries, but that doesn't mean there's no value to disseminate, because I think the solution is actually quite grassroots approach. I think I would have a few takeaway. So you need to work closely with the community and NGO and even private sector corporate to tailor make the solution for them. I think what means is not necessarily a mandatory incentive, but technical support to help them to understand the little bit of technical importance, knowledge of the paper recycling, and also I think in the corporate, how to really improve the paper cycle and then reduce reduce the waste generation and then help them to divert less go to the landfill, and also the waste audit with those fancy AI and also the handheld machine, and actually can really help to understand what kind of the waste they generate and the waste pattern they have, and in order to give them some simple diagnostic service as mentioned by Harold. And also the role of government actually is important. PRS is great, but in the meantime, a clear industry policy to support the recycling industry is very important. Maybe it's the land in the particular context of the Hong Kong, maybe the other like the custom or export policy in other case of the countries will be important. So and also knowledge sharing, even though we may only need know a piece of the regions, Hong Kong or Singapore, but doesn't mean we prevent us to share the experience beyond these two city to others different countries, and then they are also keen to learn from the others and even from the entrepreneur. I think for the private sector, we can learn a lot, but we always having invest time on the big project, but without thinking about how they impact on the private sector, and also how to really having a good engagement between the private and then the community. Okay, thanks again, Harold. I would say, and thank you, the college, and then for all those people can stay with us at the end to this webinar. And thank you. And then I wish I give you a earlier greetings. Wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Well, okay. Thank you, Ice and Erwin. I'm really grateful for you, for your help. And by the end, please remember to kindly fill the survey pop up from the Zoom as you leave the webinar. So it will help us to improve the series in 2023. Bear with us, and then we may have more and even more specific on the country specific training event. Okay. Thank you.